I am so excited to have Emma Duncan on the show today. Before we get started, let me share a little bit about Emma. She is a fitness coach, entrepreneur, and the founder of All Tru, a brand built on the belief that strength is so much more than physical. After strength training transformed her relationship with food and body image, Emma discovered that true wellness comes from alignment mentally, emotionally, and physically. Through her coaching, she's helped hundreds of women not just reshape their bodies, but reclaim their confidence, careers, and clarity. Emma's journey includes overcoming injury, burnout, and digestive health struggles, experiences that now fuel her mission to help others pursue strength with intuition, balance, and freedom. So, thank you so much for being here today. I also just want to add two more things. Congratulations on your recent wedding and marriage. That's very exciting. And I also think that, didn't you just finish your first powerlifting competition?
I did. Yes, I did.
How did that go?
It was, first of all, thank you for that beautiful intro. It went well. There were a lot of positives. It was something that was totally new and out of my comfort zone. So the fact that I just did it and finished is a huge win.
Well, I watched you through your training and it looked pretty intense. Just to give people a little bit of a background, you and I go back to, I think it's 2021.
Yep.
Yeah, 2021, kind of in the height of COVID. I came to you looking for coaching help, struggling also with other issues. My husband had just been diagnosed with cancer and all of that. So you and your team were a huge help to getting me back on track with my own personal wellness. So it's fun to kind of go back with relationships and then and see how you've grown so much.
Yeah, I always say I'm like, so I'm about to be 31. I feel like throughout my 20s and even early 30s, who you were a year ago is totally different from who I am now. I just feel like every year I'm different. I'm in a different scenario. So it's really cool to also see where I was at. Like, hey, what, even 3-4 years ago?
Well, would you have ever seen that you would be moving across the country, then back across the country, be married, buy a home?
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I think so often we're like, okay, what's next? What's next? And when I really sit down, my husband and I were just talking about it. We're like, think about how much we have accomplished and gotten done in these, like 3 to 4 years. It's been crazy, but it's been so much fun.
Well, you should be really proud of how far you've come.
Thank you.
Well, so what inspired you to step into the world of entrepreneurship? Like, is All Tru your first kind of venture into the entrepreneurial world?
Yes, that's a great question. So kind of, yes, I would say. So I'll rewind before even COVID. So after college, I actually worked at a marketing agency in Hartford. I was their first ever hire, and then they hired me after college. I worked there for maybe out of college 2-3 years. But it was a startup and there was a lot going on. So they ended up letting me go. And one of the people that was my clients, he owned his own fitness studio in Glastonbury. So he was like, hey, I want to take you on. I want to utilize you as a trainer and for marketing. During that time, I was also coaching at my CrossFit gym throughout even working at the marketing agency. So it was kind of just like, as soon as I got let go there, I got hired at that gym. I was doing more hours at CrossFit. And I just kept putting more and more on my plate. I started also doing personal training. And then I just kept finding that people asked me so many questions about nutrition because they were feeling so frustrated. They're like, hey, I'm working out so hard in the gym, but I'm feeling low energy. I feel like I'm not losing any body fat. And nutrition was something that totally changed my life. So I was just kind of giving them tips and meeting with them. And then let's fast forward to even before COVID. I think it was, before COVID, people were like, one person approached me and he said, hey, what can I pay you to make every single meal for me and track my macros and basically just feed me the food so I can lose weight? And it was a very interesting concept. It's like, let's try it. Okay, why not? So I did that and then it just kept growing. And he's like, hey, I have more clients. They're interested in this meal service. So then I started running a meal prep service. Then around COVID, one of my friends asked if we wanted to basically partner up and create a healthy cookie dough. So that was kind of first, like with the meal prep and this cookie dough, where I kind of stepped into that role of just doing things on my own. And as I started to do that, I felt this is so nice. For the first time, I can like really think creatively and really do what I want. And what I love about entrepreneurship, and you might get this, is it's not just one thing, right? We're not just doing the same thing over and over. We get to dabble in all of the things. I get to dabble in social media and creativity and t-shirt design and sales and management and coaching. And it's so fun for me because I have all these other facets. And then kind of my business grew from there. So that's more of the background.
Well, and you can see the artistic side of you because you love painting, love drawing. So that is very, very cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you hear this a lot. Like you had mentioned, why am I not losing weight? I'm working out all the time. And I do think that there's like this huge nutrition component, even for myself when I was going through it. Like there's just so much to the nutrition side of it, either under eating, overeating, eating the wrong things. So in of itself, I could see how that would just be a full-time thing.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I was like, all right, let me make this a full-time thing. Let me grow this. And it's really awesome, right? Because to help people hit PRs is one thing, and to also help them feel confident in their skin and feel like the effort that they're putting in the gym is also showing in how they feel and building more confidence. And I always say it's an amazing job to be a coach because you just get to help people feel better at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as a fitness coach, like, did you see gaps in the industry that like motivated you to like build something out of the gap that you were seeing?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yes, I think especially where, and you're a very ideal client because you like to work out hard, you like to strength train, right? You're very active. And that's a lot of the people that we call in, or maybe CrossFitters or weightlifters or powerlifters or just performance-based people. And most of the women that come into our program are not eating enough versus overeating. And I see a huge gap in us thinking that we need to eat less to reach our physique goals. But what happens is we just feel stuck and we're not really building muscle. We're not really losing fat. We're feeling low energy. Sometimes it impacts our hormones. So I think that in itself was a huge gap in really encouraging women that, hey, it's okay to eat more and we can focus on these types of foods. And this is how it's going to make us feel, is one gap. And I think even more recently, so that's more so when I started, because there becomes a lot of trends, right? As I'm sure you've noticed now, it's just everything is so focused on the negative versus the positive. It's don't do this, don't eat that. And I just have people coming to me and I feel so badly because they're like, hey, I'm just so overwhelmed. And I saw this person say to do this and this to do this. And I always say losing fat is not easy, but it is simple. And it's all about the basics and the foundation. So that's something at All Tru, we really dial it into what are your habits in place? What's your foundation look like? Because that is so, so important. And then lastly, I think this is kind of one more gap. Again, we're focusing on women not eating enough. We're focused on it being complicated, but also very heavy focus on restriction. So you might remember this as a client, but we focus more on adding more into your lifestyle, to your nutrition. Because when we focus on adding things in, we're not so focused on, oh no, what do we need to take out? And then we feel restricted. And then we're kind of in this vicious cycle. So yeah, I would say those are main three gaps that I see and that I really preach.
I think that that's so good. I can remember like the concept of eating more to lose weight was so foreign to me because maybe it's my generation, maybe it's just women in general. We are so programmed to believe after hearing that you have to eat 1,500 calories or 1,200 calories. And that just never works. It's sustainable. One of the things that I really love that you do is get people to think about, like, I never realized how much sleep impacted your overall wellness, or taking time to read or disconnect. So I think that those are just so important. And I think while everyone's so focused on building muscle and losing weight, and all of that is very important, all of these other outlier things are also so important and contribute to that so much.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. And we're also talking about our overall quality of health, because I can get you to lose weight, but you might feel miserable and low energy. And it might take up so much of your day to day to track everything and train to that level. And it's so important, I think, especially as women, because we have so much on our plates, right? And we're really trying to handle all these roles, to just do something that we love and that we're passionate about. I've had a lot of clients. I have one who really got back into crocheting, and she crocheted me this giant blanket for Christmas, and it was the best gift ever. But it's something that she can do where she's just not thinking, right? It's a mindful task and I think just adding that into our lives is so, so important. And I think that's also really what I've been passionate about, because it's really impacted my life as well. So I could talk about that all day.
Yeah. And also, going back to your social media comment, our brains are flooded with all of these influencers and influencer wannabes, with these quick hit, diets or workouts or whatever. So I think it's easy to go down that rabbit hole if you're not careful and you don't have like a good direction.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Or hey, maybe you don't have the education. So it's really easy to believe when that person's saying that oatmeal is bad or fruit is bad. So that's another reason it's so important that as coaches, it is a coach's responsibility to explain something, right? And maybe show you their research and show you the behind the scenes of why we're recommending something, so you really understand fully why we might recommend something.
Yeah, it's so important. Well, can you of like your first major challenge that you faced as a business owner, and how did you work through that?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. My first challenge. I would say my first challenge was probably my first failure, which was going back to the cookie dough business. That's actually how All Tru got started. It was originally, it's going to be like this healthy cookie dough, and then I was just going to do some coaching on the side. And so we went through a lot of like hoops and processes. We went through food testing. We had our packaging and our labels ready to go. We had it like we were going to like markets to getting like taste testing. And then my two partners at the time, they were husband and wife, they got pregnant and I was moving, and it just kind of stalled from there. And I think for me, it was a challenge because I did not have a lot of money. Like I put a lot of financial resources into that, and it just went like high and dry. And so I think that taught me a very important lesson. I think we were all really excited about it, and we put a lot of resources into it, but we didn't really think long term. And I think for me, that failure taught me a lot of like lessons. So I think that would be I'm trying to think. I think that was probably my first lesson. Yeah.
Well, that's a big one. And I, you know, the F word,
Yeah,
failure, you have to have them to
exactly.
learn and to grow and to be able to like have the momentum to move forward. Because if you just kind of sit in the failure itself, it's like, there's nothing gained out of it.
Hmm. Yep. I would say failure is great. It's great feedback. I remember my dad,
Mhm.
I just had this memory like when you just remember random memories from when you were a child. I was sitting in the car and I remember this memory of my dad. I was so afraid to go to this ice skating party because I did not know how to ice skate. And my dad was like, "Hey, it's I want you to go out there, and I'm going to be so proud of you if you fall. I'm going to be so proud every time you fall. I just want you to go out there and fall as many times as possible." And I remember coming home being so excited. I'd be like, I fell this many times. And he was like, yes. So I think at a young age, like he's really encouraged, just go out there. They've always encouraged choose happiness. Failure is important versus something to be afraid of. So it's really, really helpful as an entrepreneur, because how many times do you quote unquote fail along the way?
I love that so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. He's the best.
That's a cool dad.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Being a powerful woman.
Yeah. Oh,
I
thank
love
you.
that. Well, I feel this at times, the isolation of being like an entrepreneur.
Mm.
You can connect online and all of that is great and build a community, but um, and that is really important. But like, how do you kind of overcome the isolation and stay grounded and connected while you're building your business?
Because no one really understands you like another entrepreneur, right? And then no one understands you like an entrepreneur in your space. So I will say I am very lucky. I went through this business coaching group when I first started my business, and I made incredible connections through that. So I have so many people within my space. Two of my best friends here in Arizona are also entrepreneurs and own their fitness coaching companies. So I think just having that circle. In fact, my friends and I, we went on a call this Wednesday in the morning, and we're all just like venting about the same things to each other. So it's just so nice to feel heard and understood. And I will also say my husband has stepped into entrepreneurship. He started his business last January. So that's also been really helpful. So I think for me, it is really important that I do surround myself with those types of people, because if not, like I said, just nobody really understands what you're going through, or just sometimes, um, yes, it provides a lot of freedom, but there's always kind of like this pressure, right? There's always like this underlying feeling that something could go wrong, or even when you celebrate, something could go wrong. It's not a forever. So just to have people to deal with those emotions is really, really helpful.
Yeah, I find that to be super helpful too. It's so true what you say, like in the now, they could change in 5 minutes.
Yes.
You could get the call and say, a client could say, listen, I have to, take a break. I have to whatever. So yeah, you have to have like your tribe.
Yeah.
Your tribe that really understands the ebbs and flows of entrepreneurship.
It's so
Do you
important.
do you seek out groups, or did it just kind of happen organically with building a network?
Yeah. So the first business coaching group, I met a lot of the women who are in my circle. In fact, it's so funny because we all kind of went through the same journey. I'm not going to name names, but they ended up not being the best coaching group. It was kind of like a big investment for what we got out of it. But we always joke around like, hey, we got each other, and that's the most important thing. So they held like a couple events where we all met up. In fact, most of the women I met through that business coaching group were all at my bachelorette party. So we all got to hang out with each other, and we just make an effort to definitely see each other. And then I've been in two other business coaching programs, and every time I kind of join a new one, I meet other people. And like I said, they're just people that get it on a whole other level. Once Cameron and we've been talking about, because we're moving to a smaller town, we would love to just like go out to local events, go to farmers markets, introduce ourselves to people, especially because we'll be in a smaller knit community. So I'd say when I lived in West Hartford, it was a little bit different. It's a little bit of a smaller city compared to Phoenix. It's been a lot harder to build connections. So it's been a lot more online. But I do think it's really important to just have even the people who aren't in your space, because I think those are sometimes the people that you get a lot of good ideas and feedback from, versus constantly having people like within your close-knit space.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to have the people that tell you that you're crazy and great
Exactly.
idea, but it's not.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a mentor. Well, he still is a mentor to me. I've known him for almost 25 years. And sometimes I will still tap him and he'll be like, Denise, you're taking this too personally. You need to step back. And it's just so important. It's so refreshing. And at first I want to be defensive and like, but this is how I feel. And I know I'm right. But you know what? He is always, his
Yeah.
advice has always been amazing.
Yeah. Right. To just have somebody to vent to, or feel heard, or, hey, it's okay. Right. Or I think what's really hard, and I tell this to my husband a lot, because in my 1 year, that first year, right, you learn a lot. Business is like a mirror to all of your problems. So a lot of them come up throughout that time. But I think for us, it's really important to not take things personally, right? It's like we are us and then we have our business. And
Yes.
if our business has a bad month or people say things about our business, it's not about us. And I think that's what's one of the hardest things as an entrepreneur.
That's so true. Yep. Well, how do you balance wearing so many hats? Because you're a coach, you're a leader, you're, the founder, the visionary behind the brand. So how do you, what do you do to stay focused and energized?
Yeah. So it's different. It's totally, I feel like every year it's different depending on where I'm at in my energy, but definitely having a team. So I have 2 coaches, I have an assistant, and she's awesome. She's like the backbone. So it's really, really important to have a strong team. In my industry, the turnover rate is really high. And so one thing I take a lot of pride in is I have one employee. She's been with me for 3.5 years. I had another who recently joined a year and a half ago, and just really building an awesome team and an awesome community. And, going above and beyond for them because they're the backbone of it. So that's one thing. And I think too, it's really important for me to have those spots where I do disconnect. When I just started my business, everything was about my business. Like I would take a call at 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m. It doesn't matter. Everything was about business. But that just leads you to burnout. So for me, it's really important to have those boundaries. Things can wait till tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to close my laptop at 4:30 or 5, and I'm going to cook a nice dinner and not think about it for the rest of the day. I'm going to not check my email in the morning. So I think that's something I've really learned in the process that keeps me from getting burnt out. And just like we talked about, having friends to brainstorm with, like having conversations a lot with my husband of, hey, how can we do things differently? Where can I take this? Having that support from business coaches. But yeah, I think it's just having a lot of that time for diversity.
One of the things that I loved that you do or did, I'm assuming you still do it, but you take Saturdays off.
Yes, yeah,
And
my whole team, they don't work on Saturdays.
I love that. I
Yes.
love that.
Yeah, especially as a coach, right? Because you get a lot of questions, especially on the weekends. And I tell people, hey, this is to protect my coaches. They need that day off where they don't have to think about anything. So it also a big part about All Tru is, hey, having my coaches set those boundaries of like, this is when you're working, this is when you're not, because it can be really hard as a coach. Again, I used to answer people at all times and not have great boundaries, and it led me to a lot of frustration. So definitely that time off. Yeah.
Well, when I hear the name All Tru, I have a certain thought,
Yeah.
but what does the name All Tru mean to you, and how does it reflect your values
Yeah.
and your brand as a leader?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we were when we go back to the cookie dough business, we were like looking at words, and one word that really stuck out to us was altruistic. And I was like, ooh, I love that word. I love the meaning behind it. So we were like, how can we kind of make that our own and switch it up? So that was where the name was born out of. And I think as it's progressed, we really harp on that true strength. We say true strength a lot. This person built true strength. And when we think about strength, our brains go to, oh, that person's strong, right? Okay, that person's physically strong. That person can lift a lot of weights. But I've seen plenty of strong people, physically strong, that are emotionally weak or mentally weak, or they play victim mindset, right? Or they don't know how to communicate. So at All Tru, it's not only building physical strength, but it's building that emotional strength and that mental strength. And for some of our clients, it means leaving toxic jobs or leaving toxic relationships. I had one client, she was working in healthcare and she was so burnt out. And I kept telling her, I'm like, unfortunately, we can't get to this level of your physique unless you leave your job because it's causing just so much stress. So she became a tattoo artist, and it was so cool and it was so badass, and it was something she's always wanted to do. And that takes a lot of strength. That takes more strength, I think, in my opinion. Or I said when I went through my slowdown era, that took so much more strength for me to just sit and relax and rest. do something creative versus work than it does to like pull a 300-pound deadlift off the floor. So that's really what All Tru is about building strength in all of those aspects.
I love that. Well, if you could give one piece of advice to another fitness professional or anyone thinking about launching their business, what would it be?
Oh, okay, definitely. I think especially, this might sound like corny and basic, but I think it is just be yourself. Just show your personality, show your interests, show what you stand for, because especially in this day and age, people can use ChatGPT, right? They can get a meal plan, they can get a workout program, but people are looking for somebody that they vibe with, that they share common values with, that can make them feel heard and comfortable. And I've had clients come to me, they're like, hey, I loved your style on Instagram and I reached out for coaching. Like, how cool is that? So you never know what things are really going to click. And just, it's such an oversaturated market. So if you're just posting about like, here's the 5 basic glute building movements and just focusing on the facts of nutrition and fitness, it's just going to fall flat, right? And people are going to look for somebody with that personality. So that would be my biggest advice, is just be yourself and show all of those other facets that make you you.
In marketing, branding, we always call it like the core 4.
Oh yeah.
So it's so true. I mean, authenticity just goes so far, and people want to connect with other humans. I mean, ChatGPT is great for some things, building a framework for something, but at the end of the day, we are just built for human connection, and it's just, I don't see that ever going away.
No, me neither.
In fact, we laugh all the time because you can see who's posting ChatGPT content. It's
so
once
obvious.
you get used to seeing it, it like jumps out at you.
Yes, it's so obvious. I know exactly what to look for. We did a scholarship, and somebody used ChatGPT to write the answers for the scholarship, but they left like they left something that was so obvious, like say this to your coach. And I was like, come on, you can't even take the effort. This is 6 months we're giving away for free, So it's like that is something. I just had one of my friends, she's a fitness coach. She posted something on her story. She's like, this millionaire person, whatever, reached out to me because he said he could tell my emails were written from a human and not ChatGPT. So just like you said, now more than ever, people are looking for that authenticity, that connection, because we're just fed up. We're fed up of like people talking to robots on the phone, like just not having that connection. So I think a lot of coaches were worried at first that the robots are going to take over, they're going to do our job. No, if anything, it's more important to just be yourself and show up as a human.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great resource, but it's never going to take the place of a person. So
Exactly.
Well, what do you see is next for All Tru? Like, do you have any exciting plans on the horizon?
Yeah, I do.
What's coming?
Okay, so this is something, again, as an entrepreneur, you kind of go through these
You heard
phases.
it here first, people.
I know. You're kind of in the middle of like, okay, I've been doing this for a while. It becomes kind of repetitive in what you do and what you put out there. So you're always ready for a new challenge. So one thing I've been really passionate about lately is just all of my creative hobbies. So I've been thinking, how can I bring this out? I miss human connection, right? Talking to somebody over a screen is not the same as meeting people in person. I love the personal training aspect. So I'm moving to a smaller town and it doesn't really have a gym. And I've been saving for a gym. So I'm just going to put this out there in the universe that the perfect spot will open up. There's no rush, but when it does, I will be ready and I will be there. And I'm so excited about it because I get to paint it, create it, manage it, meet new people, host events. And so that's what I've really been called for. So who knows? Could be next year.
I love that.
Yay.
I love that. And I feel like a news reporter right now. Like I
love it.
firsthand information.
You're the first person I have said it to out loud besides my friends. So it's like, all right, why? I think we play small.
We're putting it out into the universe.
Exactly. I love it.
I can totally see you doing that and just doing it so well.
Oh, I appreciate that.
That's so cool. Well, so here's my last question before we wrap up.
Okay.
If your entrepreneurial journey had one theme song, what would it be and why?
Oh, you told me you weren't going to throw me any hardball questions.
These questions are not from ChatGPT.
That's a good question. I'm trying to think. What's a song about like a roller coaster? Oh, can I get back to you on this one?
Isn't there a song about a roller coaster from like the Red Hot Chili Peppers or something?
There's gotta be. Hold
No.
on. If there was a song about a roller coaster, there's Blink-182 song about a roller coaster.
Okay.
Some form of roller coaster, because that's how it always feels, is like up and down, and you have your somewhat months and you're just cruising, and then you're going through spirals, but then you come out and you're so happy and you're elated, and I'll find that song for you, but that's how I feel.
Fair enough. My last question is the one that surprised you.
Yes.
I know we are always like, our minds are always going, and we're always working. And I know, like, I lay down at night and I'm like, could I have done more? Did I do enough? Like, did I get back to this person? It's just a never ending cycle, but it's just so fun. And I wouldn't do it any other way.
I love it. Right? Once you become your own boss, it's hard to go back. Once you create something, it's really hard to go back. I always think about, could I ever go back to a 9 to 5? I really don't think I could.
I don't think I could either.
No, we're not made for it.
I think we're like risk junkies or something.
Yeah. And you need to get a taste of that freedom. Like, we're packing up right now, and I'm like, okay, this is nice. I could take a half day. I could pack up. I don't have to be at the office. And then there's periods where you work really hard, scale back. So yeah. I love it.
Well, thank you so much. We're going to leave it here for now. But thank you so much for being on today's episode. I appreciate you so much. And I want to give you an opportunity to tell people where they can find you.
Sure.
On social and your website.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So my Instagram is It's Emma Duncan, Duncan, which is my new last name. And then my website is All Tru, ALLTRUHP.com. So we have blogs on there. We have a bunch of free resources about like protein guides, nutrition. We have client testimonials on there. We have a lot on our website. So that's always a good spot to go. And then lastly, I have a Facebook group. It's called Weightlifting Women, 2 different words. We have like 80,000 women in there. We hype each other up. I post a lot of like resources on there and education. So if you're looking for just a place for support, that's also another awesome resource that we have.
Okay. And I will definitely drop that in the notes section too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.